If you're here for the very first time, thank you for joining me. And if you're a subscriber to Fortune Forecast, thank you so very much. This is my special treat to you and all of us. So have you ever wondered why certain sequences of numbers just show up throughout the day? For example, you wake up at 3:33 in the morning, or you look at the clock at 4:44 in the afternoon. Pretty curious, right? Well, if you're experiencing this phenomena of numbers popping up everywhere, you're not alone. It's not isolated just to the numbers on a clock. The numbers will also grab your attention, let's say on billboards, license plates, sales receipts, price tags, your caller ID, everywhere. Symbols, numbers, all this individually means different things to each one of us. Yet, for the purpose of conducting our daily life in communities and tribes, numbers and symbols have a common meaning. Science and metaphysics are slowly coming to a consensus that the universe vibrates to what, in its simplest forms here on Earth, are math and geometry, which also plays a huge role in music, astrology, numerology, and sacred geometry as well. I believe, from personal experience, and perhaps many of you join me in the sentiment, that the numbers we keep seeing are a coded form of communication out of deep cellular memory between us and our higher consciousness. For me, it's between me and God. It's my direct connection. There are many theories, books, and articles, and number sequences can be explained. You can spend hours on the World Wide Web doing research, and you'll get a bunch of material. So today, I'm sharing this special episode on the number 2. So let's talk about the number 2 as it relates to February, the second month of the calendar year. Number 2 resonates with the vibrations and the attributes of service and duty, balance and harmony, adaptability and diplomacy, cooperation and consideration. The number 2 also relates to partnerships and relationships, to intuition and insight, to faith and trust. And on a personal note, the number 2 serves as a reminder to contemplate on our divine life purpose and soul mission. So now let's take a look at the day in the second month of the calendar year. The day is the number 22. And the number 22 encourages us to work diligently on our spiritual life path and our soul purpose. And I know that many people struggle. I don't know what my life path is. I don't know what my soul purpose is. But that's part of that journey and of that discovery. And we'll go into that in a little bit. So this energy, which is the number 2, as a number 22, is the number 2 amplified. It's asking us to take a balanced, harmonious, and peaceful stance in all our areas of our lives. It's also a reminder that we are on the verge of obtaining a spiritual understanding and opening new ways to learning and to becoming aware of God in us and our role here, as it is occurring to all of us collectively on this day. Whether we move with this or not, it's like air. We don't see it, but we're all of us, whether we believe in it, whether it's scientifically or spiritually, we're breathing it. So this is happening to all of us today at a collective level. So now let's go on to the year 2022, and this would apply through the whole year, not just today, because 2022 is happening all the rest of the year for the next few months. And so this 2022, reflected in the number 222, is made up of the attributes and energies of the number 2, really vibrating a little bit more intense, tripled, making it a very powerful vibration. So the number 222 carries the attributes of the numbers 2 and 22, which is a master builder number. And that resonates with ancient wisdom, vision, and transformation. So when you have people that are born on the month of 11, or they have 11 or 22 in their birth month, they're driven in a different way than all the other birth numbers. So all the qualities of number 2 lends its influence of faith and trust, encouragement and the attainment and success, service and duty, balance and harmony. And all of this, selflessness and your divine life purpose and your soul mission. So it drives us towards that in all the things that we do. So as the vibration of number 222 is resonating in the calendar year, it is also reminding us, the collective, to be encouraged in doing good work. And some of you are seeing that as your manifestations are coming to fruition. This powerful vibration of 222 is a reminder that nothing happens by chance and everything happens for a reason. So maintain a positive attitude and you will find that everything will have a positive result and you will receive abundant blessings in God's time, which is divine right timing. So, let me introduce to you the players for today. And some of you are here, reflected in who you are in the horoscope. So let me introduce to you the 2 of Swords. Here, the swords represent air element, the Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius of the horoscope. Player number 2, the 2 of Wands. And here is represented by the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Meet player number 3, the 2 of Pentacles, represented by the earth sign, Tauruses, Virgos, and Capricorns. Meet the 2 of Cups, represented by the water signs, Cancers, Scorpios, and Pisces. And there you have it. So now a little bit about these characters in this magnificent play. So the 2 of Swords, they represent the issues of stalemate and truce, or being at crossroads, undecision, blocked emotions, being in denial, sometimes blinded, and the inability or the unwillingness to see the truth even when it's right before them. So some of you may be struggling with that, especially today and probably throughout the year, to identify clearing those issues up. For this for the fire signs, these folks here, it revolves about making decisions and about curiosity, about exploration and stepping away from those comfort zones. Do we stay in the comfort zones or do we explore? And these are the seeker of knowledge and seeker of wisdom and information. So you may find yourself in that situation if that's you, and your comfort zone might be, you might be pushed to try new things. All of you fire signs. Now we have the earth signs. And the earth signs here, with the earth signs, one of the issues that we have here is related to taking care of this very responsible sign of the zodiac, that material things, security, trying to juggle relationship with career and family, and really all those earthly things, and grabbing a hold of this concept called being a human on earth. And that's usually trying to manage their time, because it's a whole different thing for all these earth signs, whole different world. And sometimes it's hard for them to play, seek more, and break through the barriers. Then the next player are the 2 of Cups, where we have our water signs, and this expression of unity and love, and especially in romantic relationships, and harmony and mutual respect and appreciation of friendships and partnerships. So this is the energy that the water signs are working through and creating that balance for themselves as they continue to understand themselves in the world in this magnificent year of 2022. So let's pull it back a little bit now, and let's go into astrology. And so in astrology, one of the things that we have here is each of the planets are assigned a number. So guess what? The moon is assigned number 2. And the moon is a feminine symbol. So for those of you, doesn't matter what gender you are, that may be struggling with connecting with the feminine side, this is the energy that would help you. And right now we are being asked, because there's so many 2s, not only on this day, but in the year, we're being asked to collaborate and work with the feminine energy. And also the moon is represented by the rhythm of time. And we notice because of this, of the cycles. And the moon also symbolizes immortality and eternity. So it might reflect that inner knowledge or the phases of man's condition on earth, because it controls the tides, the rains, the waters, and the seasons. And it is also that middle ground between the light of the sun and the darkness of night. It often represents that realm between the conscious and the unconscious. In astrology, the moon is the symbol of the soul, and in the horoscope, it determines the individual's capacity for reflection and adaptation. So when each of the zodiacs navigate through the moon energy, it's really asking us to dig deeper into that meaning for us. So the moon is also associated with alignment and illumination, and our conscious and subconscious. And this enlightenment will reach us in a passive and gentle way, because the moon is believed to represent that type of knowledge that comes to us through insight and introspection, rather than that kind that we actively need to search out in the external world. The fact that the moon moves through different cycles and does not remain fixed symbolizes the cycle of life itself. And in life, we humans often find ourselves in different phases. Some where we're reaping the rewards of our work and our actions, and we can take a rest, and others where we must work hard to achieve what we want. So during this 24-hour period, we are being asked to be more open, more sensitive, to make a choice to become a better spirit in the human body and elevate the collective consciousness from where it is to a greater expression of love. So now I'm going to go, you're saying, well, what are these players doing here? Okay, so this is about the hero, which is portrayed by the major arcana on this deck. And you know, the tarot deck itself is nothing special. It's just a deck of cards that was used in ancient times. I mean, they can be dated as back as the 1400s or the 1700s. I think around the 1700s it started being used more as a tool for telling a story. Before that, it was used to play the game of triumph. So there you have it. We are so geared to symbols that it's so easily to see how, if it's put into a story, it could be relatable. So let's go back to the story of the hero. The hero's journey begins with the fool. And he walks merrily along, not looking where he's going, and completely unaware about the fact that he's about to step over the precipice. And he carries his past in a bag, on a stick, very light, nothing too burdensome, but a little bit of tension on there, a little bit of tension on the shoulders there. So there's a little bit that comes from that past, right? And his other hand, he has a white flower and a dog at his heels. So this archetype, representing any one of us, fire signs, water signs, earth signs, air signs, we're all on a journey. And we lack this worldly experience. And that kind of puts us at a disadvantage when we come here. So one of the things that's going to come across is the story. And we're going to come across many different people, helpers, that are going to be helping us portray this story. And we're going to have experiences that are going to either make us strong, make us look thin, that is going to challenge us and confront us, and just really a lot of things that as we are on this journey that we're going to come across and ultimately seek transformation and that connection with Source. So that is the Fool's journey, the cycle, and that's what we see as this is represented, the new cycle, the new life, and the fresh of new beginnings. So he has this innocent spirit of a child who doesn't understand the dangers of the world. He's about to enter this whole world, and little does the fool know that his journey is all about bringing forth his own enlightenment. But first, he must take that plunge into the abyss at his feet. So the fool represents the pure impulse in life, just going along and doing what life does. It neither is good nor bad. The fool will embark on his journey. He will grow in awareness, in understanding, and returning to the start to embark a new cycle again. So, at the start of the journey, for each one of us, the fool is the newborn child entering the world. He's unconscious and he's unaware that he has been separated. He has a separate identity. He is not aware of that. So he's not yet an individual, and he's not responsible for his actions. He's just setting out, like we all did, entranced by our sensory experience. You know, like that little baby sticking his feet in his mouth, you know, gnawing at it, willing to explore and open to adventure. And that white flower, and the white flower he holds represents his soul, a fragment of divinity, his true self, which he'll carry with him on his journey. So this is where we all begin. This is where we all begin, not just at birth, but whenever we are unconscious of our true nature. The journey towards enlightenment will be difficult, and if we knew what was coming, we probably wouldn't set off on that course in the first place. So the only way this journey can be undertaken is in innocence. This naivety will be beaten out of us soon enough. And so, the journey begins. And where does it take us? Well, in this travel, towards this awakening, he meets the magician, which is the next step on the journey to awakening. And he sees that this magician stands alone, confident, and he's got his magic wand, and he has all the resources with him right there at his table, and it controls all the elements. And we see the figure 8 at the top of the head there, which is just that spark of that divinity within him. And he wears this white garment of purity of his intentions, and we see that he's cloaked by the red, which shows his purpose of will. He is ready to teach the fool the hidden ways of spirit. Oh, teach me these ways. Oh, teach me. So this is the stage of the journey where the dawning of self-awareness, and now we must learn how to live in the world, and we must learn how to use our senses to understand the world around us and ourselves. And there are different elements of our character that we see here, because in each one of us is an element of all of us: air, fire, water, earth. We all have little sparks of those, while one of them may be more predominant than the other. So now here, the different elements of our character is being combined, and our creative energy is focused so we can manifest our desires and make our way in the world. So he is now self-aware, he's responsible for his actions, and the rest of the journey, he will meet others, and he will discover the dangers and temptations inherent that come when you're wielding the sacred fire of consciousness. So the magician, aka the fool, will discover the consequences of his actions, all in due course. So moving along, and stepping forward on this journey towards awakening, he encounters himself with the High Priestess. Oh, here we go. Here we are. And in this, she is the lunar goddess. Remember, we talked about the moon, the number 2. And she's the number 2. And she sits between the pillars of her temple with the Book of Wisdom in her hands. Like the sun and the moon, the magician and the High Priestess complement each other, as she represents the soul, while he is the spirit. And so in the number 2, since this is our special day, and now for the first time, we are confronted with duality. The relativity of pairs of opposites. For the first time on our journey, we encounter the other. And it signifies our experience as a separate ego living in time in the manifest world. So the High Priestess, she sits between the light and dark pillars, which represent the positive and negative powers, the yin and the yang, and also this letter, the J and the B, which stands for Jacqueline and Boaz in the pillars from the Temple of Solomon. So she is the link between the opposites, between the physical and the spiritual. The High Priestess is Sophia, the Gnostic goddess of wisdom, and the one of the aspects of the feminine side of the psyche. So we have the moon influence, we have this number 2 here in the story of the hero's journey, and you are the hero or the heroine. You are she, you are that person. So to move on our hero's journey to awakening, we must learn to read the book of wisdom, our soul. Pretty much, we must try to remember ourselves, but to our soul, and awaken that. And the High Priestess inspires the dreams and visions. She reveals the inner workings of the psyche. She is the bridge that crosses that wide gap of conscious and unconscious mind. She is that subtle whisper of the intuition and the creative inspiration that can only flow freely when that bridge is open. So this stage of the journey brings us into contact with this hidden side of ourselves. And we must learn. And she says, I will open this only if you're willing to take the time. You must be willing to take the time to access and learn the inner wisdom. You must listen to your intuition, and you must listen to the lunar consciousness if you want to find your way forward on this path, on your journey. So she is telling us, you must listen to your intuition. You must listen to learn to hear God's voice, that still small voice within you. And we will stop there, because this is to honor this special day, the special year, and a reminder that that's the cycle that we're in. The journey is not finished, but definitely 2022 is going to be a very critical year. We see a lot of things happening at the local level, at the family level, at the personal level, at the global level. There's a lot of things happening lately, which is part of this learning to hear God's voice. And it is activating that for many of us. So before we go on and conclude this, I want to talk about that year 2022. And if you take all those 3 2s, and you add them up, it gives you the number 6. And so more about numerology, the vibration of number 6 is one that brings the message and reverberates unconditional love. And it urges us to seek balance and harmony, to seek family and service to others, to seek healing and justice. And it's a reminder to keep balance between the material goals and your aspirations and the spiritual and your inner self. And to respect yourself and others by taking responsibility for your own life, and be honest and fair in all your dealings. So the other number that I want you to look at is the number 3. Because here, that's when you take all the numbers for today, the 22, 2022, and you add them up, you get the 12. And 1 plus 2 is 3. And so the number 3 carries the vibration of communication, self-expression, inspiration, and optimism. The number 3 also symbolizes the principle of increase and growth, expansion, abundance on the mental, emotional, financial, and spiritual levels. The number 3 is the number of manifesting and manifestation and carries the vibration of the ascended masters such as Jesus, whose key message was love. And so I do have this special deck that I love very much, and it is called the Ascended Masters by Doreen, and it has a collection of all the Ascended Masters. Very beautiful back on the cards, and one of the most beautiful Ascended Masters that resonates, the number 3, is Jesus. Open your heart to love. And his message was love. So for the year 2022, shine your light in your unique way. Make your mark in the world, in your career, in your personal life. Have faith. Everything is going to be all right. And remember to include God in your future plan. And he will be there waiting for you to celebrate your arrival and to let you know you are victorious. So there you go. A lot of work for all of us in the year 2022. May you have a fantastic 2022. Come back, and please, if you haven't done so, subscribe to my channel.